can't melt steel beams.
The challenge facing the United States is that we have to be right one time. 100% of the time.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's.
This shit's bad for my career.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Frogs gay.
The lunar landings were more than likely fabricated.
Michael Jackson, he moonwalked. NASA didn't. The moon doesn't even exist.
Oh my god, that's the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
I'm not gonna lie, you threw a curveball at me.
The Illuminati, this is their main form of communication. They meet at the cloning station.
Reptilian, non-human race.
That's nonsense.
Down the rabbit hole we go.
Aliens.
R. Kelly nuked Paul Walker's car.
I can't believe the Philippines would do anything dodgy.
We've got to look at the facts here.
I doubt we will.
It's hard for me to explain why that was the case. Just take my word for it.
Jesus fucking Christ, James.
I need to put my phone away as well because it's making noises.
Oh no, you just put it on silent.
Yeah, but it's not that. It's I keep fucking
Just bang it.
throw it on the ground. Fuck it.
Excellent. Okay.
Apple.
Fuck Apple.
Fuck Apple. The corporate fucking line about your battery life. Apple.
Quality.
Sound. Aye, well, hello and welcome. This is Jet Fuel Can't Melt Steel Beams, podcast where we try and delve into some of the weird and wonderful conspiracy theories that the internet has to offer. I am Ben, with me is Rob.
Hello.
And over there we've got our resident truther, James. How you doing, man?
All good?
Not bad. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah, just buzzing to unleash some spiralling down the rabbit hole.
What have you got for us this week, James?
So I've got a fun fact for you if you want, our weekly fun fact.
I'm really looking forward to it.
So, you guys may already know this, but here in Scotland we have a mountain called the Devil's Penis. It's called Bod an Demain in Gaelic, which literally translates as the penis of the devil. Some buzzkills politely renamed it the Devil's Point, but it is the Devil's Penis. Anyway, it's where everyone goes to hang out and snort LSD and shoot glue.
Shoot glue.
Whatever the kids like to do these days. Anyway, we all know doing drugs is bad, kids, and certainly taking them that way isn't going to do anyone any favours in the long run. Fucks up your brain. You know,
sinuses.
You know who else had a fucked up brain? Chris Benoit.
Is that a topic for this week then?
I can already sense this is going to be a really positive episode.
Yeah, snorting glue and shit. Snorting LSD and shooting glue. It's always a good way to start a podcast, isn't it?
At least we got a fucking tagline for the pod.
Yeah, sound. Okay, so Chris Benoit, we'll just launch into it, yeah?
So, to my knowledge, Chris Benoit, double homicide, suicide, killed his family, seems pretty clear cut.
No.
He was also a Clash wrestler as well.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But in terms of, conspiracy theories...
Well, we'll find something.
We'll find something.
If it's anything like the Paul Walker pod, there'll be quite a lot of things.
Fucking love the internet.
So
I know, it's beautiful.
I originally wanted to launch in with the Chris Benoit entrance music, but for copyright reasons, that's not going to be an option.
No.
So, just so you guys know, Chris Benoit's entrance music was amazing. It was unreal. A song called Whatever, and was by the band Our Lady Peace. If you listen to the full track and the lyrics, given what happened, it's actually quite eerie. The track was written for their album Gravity in 2002, but was not actually released on the album. But it's insane. It's good gym music.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
out of interest, I know that we can't play it because we could get striked. But do you think the Fed, that's the old slang for the WWE, would copyright? They go, no, we're gonna take that.
No, they don't.
Do you think they claim a murderous song?
They don't want anything to do with him though. So
no,
they probably wouldn't take that. It's probably the only thing.
Oh no!
Also, no one's listening to this.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be great if our only listener was Vince McMahon.
How?
Just in the gym flexing at fucking 76.
Excellent. Okay. So,
you're going to go into the history of Chris Benoit, lead us up to it?
Go into the background. So, we've got Christopher Michael Benoit. He was born on May 21st, 1967. He was a Canadian professional wrestler. During his career, which spanned 22 years, Benoit worked for numerous promotions, such as the World Wrestling Federation, or WWE World Wrestling Entertainment, World Championship Wrestling, Extreme Championship Wrestling, and New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
Industry journalist Dave Meltzer described him as one of the top 10, maybe even the top 5 all-time greats.
Dave Meltzer is probably he's probably the biggest writer. He's like who all the people, like more adult fans, will actively listen to him. He has like star ratings for matches.
Right, okay, so he does your like review.
Yeah, so if someone gets a 5-star like rating from Dave Meltzer, everyone's going to watch it and it'll like flood YouTube.
It's pretty
but
reliable.
He's been going about the whole time and he actually looks a lot like Chris Benoit as well.
I'm going to go off the top here as well and say I know next to nothing about wrestling other than that's where The Rock came from. So I'm completely blind on this one.
Oh man, I'll keep you covered. Don't worry.
Some of the Hollywood greats like Kane,
Undertaker,
aye, Hulk Hogan,
Doink the Clown,
aye, that one.
There's a lot of Red Rooster, a lot of guns. But yeah, I'll let you carry on, James.
Okay.
I could go all day, mate.
Okay, so Benoit married twice, having 2 children, David and Megan, by his first wife, Martina. By 1997, that marriage had broken down, and Benoit was living with Nancy Sullivan, the wife of WCW wrestler and frequent opponent Kevin Sullivan.
Yes, lad.
Interestingly, it was a current storyline written by Sullivan that she would have an affair and leave him for Benoit. This ended up becoming reality. Not the best plan. Chris and Nancy then later had a son in 2000 called Daniel and then married later that year. Benoit held 22 championships between all the federations he wrestled under. He was a 2-time world champion, having held the WCW World Heavyweight Championship once, and then the World Heavyweight Championship once again in WWE. He was actually booked to win a 3rd World Championship at a WWE event on the night of his death on June 24th, 2007.
So when you say he won championships, it was written into a contract somewhere that he would win. Is that how it works?
Yes.
Or does he actually have to
basically
beat people?
It would all depend on kind of like it wouldn't be like written into his contract.
Oh, like for the event,
but
you know,
the storylines.
Story,
it's like predetermined. So on the day, so it's something that could change on the fly. They go, no, we don't want to go down this route.
Yeah,
or we want to extend it so we don't have that payoff. Because they normally want to do their payoffs at like pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
You want people to pay and then get that big result, and that's why people will go back into pay-per-views because like, I want to pay for this because I know something big's going to happen.
Absolutely. So basically, there's a script, there's a storyline built up. So unless there's like an injury or something
and I
crazy
think
happens,
Winners is based on like popularity more so than
it's just the storyline they want to run.
Right. It is. It used to be based on popularity, pretty much. Like if somebody if somebody's over, then you'd think the smart thing to do for the business is shoot them to the moon.
Yep.
Let's just like make the best of what we've got just now. But currently, that's not the case. The Vince McMahon has a really
hold.
He makes a good quote. Is like, I choose what gets over, not you. So it comes to like
my way.
It basically comes to like these main events where it's just the crowd's booing.
And he's just standing in the ring with a middle finger, like.
Pretty much.
It's what he says goes. Certainly in that era, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, Benoit became good friends with fellow wrestler Eddie Guerrero. Benoit,
I know that name.
Yeah, Latino Heat.
I don't know what it looks like, but I know the name.
Benoit kicked Guerrero in the head during a match in Japan and knocked him out. And obviously, naturally, this causes sane people to become friends. This started a strong friendship that lasted until Guerrero's death in late 2005 and became a widely accepted precognition of Benoit's demise. So, I lie, I cheat, I steal was Guerrero's wrestling catchphrase. He used this phrase.
Upbeat.
He used it in the untimely title of his 2005 autobiography named Cheating Death, Stealing Life. This was actually released the same year that he fatally suffered a massive heart attack as a result of arteriosclerotic heart disease.
Yeah, Eddie Guerrero was he's probably going to be regarded as one of the best of all time.
Right.
And there's like weight classes in wrestling. Well, not that, and that doesn't mean they can't fight each other from different weight classes. But earlier on in his career, Eddie Guerrero being like a luchador, well, not a luchador, but that Mexican style wrestling, a lot of flips, considered a cruiserweight.
Yeah.
But then when he went to the Fed, he clearly started juicing because he became
swole.
He got very swole, like unnaturally swole, along with Benoit, and I think it's like one of the biggest tragedies, like him passing away.
Yeah.
Obviously, he put a lot of fucking strain on his heart.
I was going to say,
how unfortunate timing though when he releases this book named Cheating Death, and then a few months later he dies.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but it's unfortunate. So basically, the arteriosclerotic heart disease is where the arteries narrow and fill up with plaques. Obviously, led to a massive heart attack. While Eddie was very close with Benoit, Guerrero himself actually experienced various substance abuse problems, including alcoholism and an addiction to painkillers. These real-life issues were sometimes incorporated into his wrestling storylines, which seemed to be a very common theme. So he had some troubles himself, obviously.
Yeah.
It's getting very grim already. Though.
Oh, it gets grimmer.
We've not even got to the double homicide yet.
So Benoit's wrestling style. Benoit was known as the Rabid Wolverine. He also inherited the nickname the Crippler after an incident during a match with Sabu in ECW in 1994.
Did he cripple him?
When Benoit dropped Sabu on his head, breaking his neck.
Fuck.
Sabu didn't die.
No,
Sabu is in like the same league as like now I mentioned about like in a nuclear war, like the cockroaches will live. So Sabu's one of them. Like the boy is like his legs are now like bowed. Like they're fucked.
So he didn't get paralysed by it? Or?
No, not fucking kill him.
Wait for it. So Taz later broke Sabu's neck as well. Snapped Sabu's neck through a table during a power bomb or something, I think.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So Sabu's not had the best times. He's not having a good time, but he keeps going.
It's not having a good time.
Keeps coming back for more.
Sabu's got like a
glutton for punishment. Like
it's not something you see in wrestlers of like current days now. But his forehead, Sabu's forehead's like a fucking chessboard. Because like there's a thing where like I think not saying that they're not talented wrestlers, but he would botch a lot. Botch is like slang for like make a mistake.
Right.
So he'd make a lot of botches. But
like
then
deliberate mistakes.
Yeah, but he'd also do another slang term called get a lot of colour. Which would mean he'd have like a hidden blade and just cut his head just so he'd like spew like fucking blood from his head.
I've seen the wrestler, I know that happens.
But his head is just all just scarred and
looks good then.
Sabu's like Sabu might just be another pod in the future because he's a fucking riot.
He's broke his neck about 12 times and he's absolutely fine.
Yeah, like what happens is people break his neck and then those wrestlers those wrestlers who do it then get given like amazing nicknames like we'll call him the Crippler. That's called Taz the Human Suplex Machine. Yeah, but here's a wee bit for Taz. Not Taz, sorry, Sabu. After you, James.
Yeah, so Benoit himself had a collection of submission holds, including the Crippler crossface and a sharpshooter as finishers. Importantly here, he also used a diving headbutt to finish off opponents. We know where this is going. This diving headbutt was saw him leap off the top rope and land headfirst on his opponents, was partially blamed for the head trauma that caused Benoit to commit his crimes.
And so, you know, like he would climb to the top of the ring,
right,
and he would dive into like kind of like a Jesus crucifixion pose. So he wouldn't do anything to try and cover his head to stop the blow. To stop the blow, it would be his head. So he'd go head first onto the body of the person.
Yeah, he was committed anyway.
Yes, he was committed.
Man was an artist.
He was. Yeah, he was. He was.
Yeah,
sang.
He was something.
He was some wrestler back in the day, though. Brilliant to watch. So we'll go into his last wrestling match then. So on the June 11th episode of Raw, Benoit was drafted from SmackDown to ECW as part of the 2007 draft. On June 19th, Benoit wrestled his final match, beating Elijah Burke in a match to determine who would compete for the ECW World Championship at Vengeance on June 24th. On the night, as usual, the fans went crazy for a diving headbutt that won the match for the Crippler. But Benoit's pained expression on his face as he grasped his aching cranium, while commentators made some untimely remarks, makes for an uneasy rewatch if you watch it again.
Yeah.
So given what happened, if you watch that back,
Get on YouTube right now.
There's a
It's grim.
yeah, there's a lot of psychological issues you hear about Benoit prior to this, like the death of his best friend Guerrero had a massive impact on his life.
Definitely.
But
did he like
had a burp there?
Did he like spiral into like more drugs and alcohol after that? Or?
There's stories of Benoit in his especially his younger days, because he used to travel. I think he used to travel with Dave Meltzer,
Right.
the writer, when he was at New Japan, and this is like early 90s. And the wrestling at the time, the big thing is big people. And Chris Benoit was he wasn't a small person, but in terms of wrestler, he wasn't a 6'7".
He's got to
He wasn't The Rock.
got to make up for it.
So he made up for it, and it's he did that by he couldn't get the heights, so it was spectacle, but also he's like, I am going to get like nuclear juiced. He's like, so yeah.
There may have been a little bit of testosterone spike.
Yeah, and there's
a little smidge.
Have you seen the size of his neck?
We peppering.
Yes.
Oh, his traps.
But he's also huge. Like he's a perfectionist. And there's these stories you hear about him, and it's like these are all just from other wrestlers, but like these are all on kind of like these shoot interviews on YouTube. So you don't know how much truth there is to it.
Yeah,
because they all like to make a story, and they all like to make a bit of money.
And the whole thing as well with wrestling is that it's all stories that are
and a lot of these older boys still not believe, but like they like to hide it. They like to don't talk about the inside really that much.
Right. Okay.
But there's stories about him where he maybe like messed up a move, and everything about that match can still be perfect, but he would be just fucking thinking about that over and over.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this one story where he went off the rails. Well, not off the rails, he just went missing after a match, even though it was great.
Mm-hmm.
And he was found in a janitor's cupboard. And what he was doing, he was punishing himself. So he was doing like 1,000 squats as a punishment for making a mess in a match.
In a cupboard?
In a cupboard, like in the dark. Like
if that's a sign of being mentally unstable.
There's a lot more. There's like, you hear these like horrible stories about like in one stadium there was supposedly this is really fucking grim. There's like this story about one of the guys was like maybe like a janitor or somebody working there with had like Down syndrome, and he was cleaning up.
Right.
And it was just Benoit throwing a steroid needle at him like a dart.
Fucking hell.
Like they're just like
Yeah, that seems like a sound thing to do.
As well as being a moist wrestler, he was also a cunt.
Yes, big
very
time.
much so.
And there's a famous wrestler now called The Miz, and he comes from a reality TV show. Well, he did. He's obviously now known as a professional wrestler, but he started off in a reality show going, what you do here for? He's like, I want to be big, I want to be a wrestler, so I'm going to try and get some fame.
Right.
So eventually he got into the wrestling circuit, got picked up by like the WWE, because he was like, oh, he's got a bit, let's see what we can do with him. And what happened is The Miz ate some chicken.
Cool.
The Miz ate some chicken, and
did he like not kick it first and shit everywhere?
But accidentally, I think like put some chicken crumbs or something onto like another wrestler's bag, not Benoit's bag. And Benoit was considered something like a locker room leader, like I make the fucking rules here,
right? Okay.
Along with the likes of like the Undertaker and stuff like that.
Yeah,
the big boys.
And then because of this, The Miz was then kicked out of the locker room for 6 months or something.
So he just get changed in the hall or something?
No, he was made to change. No, he wasn't allowed in the halls. He was made to change in like the public toilets of the stadium. So like the fans would be coming in. So like have the Miz be getting changed in a cubicle.
It's clear.
He's a fucking.
Hey, can I get an autograph? Fuck off and put my tights on.
It's clear to say Benoit was very mentally stable.
Yeah.
So this final match then, after he became the challenger for the title, I think it was a vacated title actually, but he was set to win it anyway.
Don't know what that means.
So maybe like a wrestler like would have been champion at the time. Maybe they got injured. So they didn't have to fight anyone who already had the title. Like for real, get injured, so they set up a tournament for like who can win all these. Maybe like a bracket tournament, and then the next people can fight in a pay-per-view for the title.
Yeah. So Benoit actually missed the weekend shows. He missed the pay-per-view after telling WWE officials that his wife and son had developed food poisoning. When he failed to show up for the pay-per-view, viewers were informed by WWE that he was unable to compete due to a family emergency.
Yeah.
So
Damn right, it was a family emergency.
The thing is that it doesn't normally float for the WWE. Like, this is how, like, it's a really, like, fucked up company.
You were telling us before that, like, they're not contracted for the WWE, they're like
subcontracted, yeah, so they don't get healthcare. So they don't get healthcare.
Destroy your body.
No one would touch them anyway.
Yeah. But it's known for, like, even if you've got, like, illnesses or stuff like that, like, bigger people have talked about it. There's a couple of cases, like, CM Punk had staph infection, and he was still made to wrestle, and, like, he went to the doctor, and there's something fucked up with me here, and, like, staph infection is, like, your muscle eating away through, like, a disease. But he was still made to wrestle. And then there was the likes of Bret Hart. And this is saying, like, for, like, getting off, like, he obviously didn't show up. Vince McMahon wouldn't give a fuck about his family having food poisoning, because he made Bret Hart show up to Survivor Series in, like, the early 90s, a day after his brother died, to wrestle.
He's such a dick.
Yeah, he's such a dick.
Sounds like my kind of guy. Like.
Yeah, he's fucking ruthless.
Made money from it, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Scrupulous. Yeah, that's a word.
Unscrupulous. Is that another word?
That works.
That's a word there.
There's definitely two words.
Okay. Let's
moving on.
Let's move on.
I've got a dictionary.
So we've got the official narrative of his death and the events of that night. So on June 25th, 2007, police entered Benoit's home in Fayetteville, Georgia, after WWE requested a welfare check due to Benoit missing the weekend's events without notice. The officers discovered the bodies of Chris Benoit, his wife Nancy, and their 7-year-old son Daniel at around 2:30 p.m. No additional suspects were sought by authorities, and it was determined that Benoit had committed the double murder and suicide. Over a 3-day period between June 22nd and June 24th, 2007, Benoit had killed his wife and son before then committing suicide. His wife was bound before the killing. Benoit's son was drugged with Xanax and likely unconscious before Benoit strangled him. Benoit then committed suicide by hanging himself on his lap pull-down machine in his gym.
Fucking hell.
I thought he shot the kid. I don't know.
No, there's a lot of rumours. That's where kind of newspapers were reporting that there was shotguns involved and things, but it was no.
Oh, Jesus. Do you think he used the crippler crossface?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
This is grim. Certainly a finisher.
Suplex the bastard.
Oh, God. Well,
right.
Thanks, gentlemen.
So that's the
official.
lead up and the official narrative. So we're gonna have a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll find out what the conspiracy around this is. Because given the lead up, the mental instability, it sounds pretty cut and dry. But I'm interested to hear where this will go.
What you've dredged up.
I've got some autopsy results and toxicology results to come. So
excellent.
We'll go into that.
Right. Well, we'll see you after the break then.
Well,
right. Hello and welcome back. So, first half we covered the sort of life and career of Chris Benoit leading up to the crime. This, after going through the material over the break, is probably going to be a two-parter. So we're going to get into the conspiracy in part 2. But right now, James, you're going to take us through the toxicology, the doctor, sort of all this stuff, the aftermath of the initial crime. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've kind of briefly, earlier on, just spoke about what happened that night. So I do have some autopsy results to discuss here.
This is going to be really
positive. I want to say I'm excited,
Rob's
but also...
smiling.
Oh no, I'm really excited. Like it's one of like my, I find like weird things to like get really into from time to time.
Have you met James?
Yeah, mine's isn't so much like fucking diving into the deep web to find like these weird conspiracies. But one of my things right now is not wrestling itself to watch live, but the stories behind it.
Yeah, you was talking about some of that before the episode.
Because it's some of the like most fucked up stuff.
Yeah,
it's great.
Carnage.
Yeah, it's absolutely fucking carnage.
So, let's go in. Autopsy. So, the autopsy results showed that Benoit's wife was murdered first. Her feet and wrists were tied and she had died of asphyxiation on Friday, June the 22nd. She was found wrapped in a towel with blood under her head. Asphyxiation,
is that from like strangulation or from...
So he's strangled her.
Strangled her, right, okay.
So Daniel also died that way. He was killed as he lay in bed on the Saturday morning.
Can I cut in here as well? How old was the son?
7.
Oh no.
7.
Fucking hell.
He was lying in his bed on the Saturday morning. It's obviously his mum had been killed the night before. He obviously doesn't know about it.
Jesus, sorry, I missed it. Was he tied to the bed, or was he just...
No, he was just...
Separate
He was
himself.
a 7-year-old boy. He was just lying in his bed, just waking up on the Saturday morning.
I just meant to just get up and watch Digimon or something, you know?
I know.
Fuck.
So that's that. So obviously he killed his wife on the Friday, waited till the Saturday morning, then killed his son. Then on the evening of Sunday, June 24th, Benoit
On the Sabbath.
took his own life.
Yeah, fucking metal.
So Benoit took his own life in his weight room. He used a weightlifting machine to hang himself, snapping his own neck. He placed copies of the Bible alongside the bodies of his wife and son, as well as a third Bible next to him on his weightlifting machine.
Jesus,
That is so fucked up.
And so the thing as well, it's like it's not a crime of passion because it didn't all happen at once.
It's
just very premeditated.
That's
Although I guess we're going to get into that in episode 2.
Yeah. Over 3 days. I mean, he's obviously very, very troubled.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, doing that generally, but carrying it out over a 3-day period is even worse, you'd think.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know there was that in depth of it. But fucking hell.
So Benoit's autopsy revealed that he had cardiac hypertrophy, which is an enlarged heart, and he had testicular atrophy, which is small balls.
Is that all signs of steroid use? Then, I'm
so
guessing.
Both go hand in hand with steroid use and abuse. It was discovered that Benoit had CTE, which is a chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or encephalopathy, depending on your preference. I double checked with the good doctor. So
good doctor, double D.
This is particularly associated with contact sports such as boxing or American football. It's previously known as punch-drunk syndrome. However, this term is no longer used, as it's now known that this isn't just exclusive to boxers. The disease is associated with atrophy of the brain and the presence of neurofibrillary tangles that contain a protein called tau. Tau proteins are proteins that stabilise microtubules. They're abundant in neurons of the central nervous system. Basically, very, very important, retaining good health.
I'm just going to cut in here and say I'm loving your droll pronunciation of medical words. It's just if I mumble it, they won't know if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Well, I got encephalopathy. That's only one.
General practitioner truther.
So the best way to identify CTE is through a magnetic resonance image, MRI, scan, or a computerized tomography scan, CT. The symptoms of chronic traumatic encephalopathy are similar to those seen in other types of dementia, particularly Alzheimer's disease.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking hell. He wasn't old either, was he? He was in his late 30s?
39, I think.
Fucking hell.
Those diving headbutts, man.
Yeah, so it's usually caused by receiving repetitive blows to the head or repeated concussions.
I remember one time at a house party being in a kitchen and passing a frying pan around and everyone just smashing herself on the head with it. I'm currently quite scared.
He's questioned me about my pronunciation. He's bashing himself over the head with a frying pan.
Fucking hell.
I thought you were about to say you climbed on cabinets and did diving headbutts.
That too, but...
So the thing you have to take in about it makes a lot of sense, the whole dementia thing. Because he would do he was huge at the time. So
swole.
He was huge, swole, but also in terms of popularity as well.
Right, okay.
So he would be on TV on a Monday night. He would finish every move for fucking diving headbutt. He'd be on TV on a Tuesday night for the other show. He would do a diving headbutt.
Remember, he's got rehearsals and things as well.
Well, I don't think he would do it in rehearsals, but he would be on a third TV program in the week, which would be the ECW, the championship he was going for.
Yeah,
and he would do a diving headbutt.
So,
but also during this week, he would have live shows that are not recorded, so he might do that once a week, maybe twice. So at max, he was doing this fucking diving headbutt 5 times a week at least.
So what you're saying is I might be okay.
I think you're going to be alright.
Right, cool.
Unless you frying pan yourself like quite a bit.
I mean, it was like several goes.
It's a real fucking like Laurel and Hardy sketch in that flat parade.
Boys, what should we do?
I don't even know how it started.
How old were you?
It's last year.
19,
That's
20.
fine. That's fine. I just like started to draw lines like that. If it's over 20, then it's
You're a fucking idiot.
it's like 19. Nah, I'll let you off. We're like 20.
Right, sorry,
So-
James, moving on.
Initial symptoms of CTE include short-term memory loss, changes in mood, increasing confusion and disorientation, and difficulty thinking.
Disorientation?
Disorientation.
Dysentery.
Thanks, Rob. So those most at risk are athletes with a history of repetitive, mild traumatic brain injury,
Mild.
military veterans with a history of repeated head trauma, and just generally people with a history of repeated head injuries. Benoit is undoubtedly in this category. Tests were conducted on Benoit's brain by the head of neurosurgery at West Virginia University. Results showed that Benoit's brain was so severely damaged it resembled the brain of an 85-year-old Alzheimer's patient.
Jesus fuck.
So, on the kind of trail of generally grim, other examples of CTE
I just wanted to keep talking about drunken stories right now. Just
Guess what
bring
I
the
did?
mood up a bit.
Other examples of CTE-induced disasters include Pittsburgh Steelers offensive lineman player Justin Strelick.
Nailing these pronunciations.
Sounds good.
Well, there's like 15 Zs.
Just go for one pronunciation and say it like you mean it.
Strelick chick. Anyway, this guy led police on a 40-mile high-speed chase through central New York at speeds up to 100 miles per hour on the wrong side of the highway. This resulted in an explosive crash and ultimately his death.
Oh. I was going to say, yes, lad.
Another instance was former Chicago Bear Dave Dearson, who killed himself by a gunshot to the chest in 2011.
Oof.
He left a suicide note requesting his brain be examined like his deceased peers. So these guys both had the same as what Ben.
Oh, right, wow.
That is a.
So he knew someone was wrong.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Imagine living with that, like, and getting to that extreme. Like, you know something's wrong and you actually ask for your brain to be studied.
How can he have like his brain's that of like an 85-year-old Alzheimer's patient? Like, how did he function? How did he actually do all these circuits? Do you think he was just like Frankenstein's monster, just like, right, Chris, on you go, you go,
Yeah.
fucking choke out, diving headbutt.
But that, like, I mean, in terms of like your day to day, they don't take a lot of higher brain function, I guess. Whereas I bet in his personal life, he was probably a bit fucked doing his tax returns and fucking shopping lists and shit.
Yeah, maybe like because he would avoid it because he's on tour the whole time, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
I would say his wife probably took care of most of that side of things.
It's hard enough mentally being
Publicists handling bookings and all that shit. Like,
but being on tour all the time is going to mentally be really difficult.
Yeah.
As well. So, so that's the autopsy report. We've got the toxicology now. So toxicology reports revealed that at the time of her death, Nancy had 3 different drugs in her system: Xanax, hydrocodone, and hydromorphone, all of which were found at therapeutic levels rather than toxic levels. Daniel had Xanax in his system, which led the chief medical examiner to believe that he had been sedated before he was murdered. Benoit was also found to have Xanax in his system. Now, Xanax is a class of drug called a benzodiazepine and is the trade name for alprazolam, a powerful psychoactive anti-anxiety and antidepressant drug. Side effects of Xanax include a loss of inhibitions, memory and concentration problems,
as well as mumble rap.
Drowsiness, aggression,
face
rage,
tattoos,
mania, suicidal thoughts and hallucinations. As weird as it sounds, a very common side effect of such medication is actually more anxiety and depression, especially when you mess with the dosage.
Nah, I'm pretty sure Lil Xan said it helped his anxiety, so I believe him.
Yeah, what the fuck is Lil Xan now anyway?
I don't know.
he's went off the map. He's not like, what's his name, 6969?
What? Pedophile?
Oh yeah. Oh, he's in prison, isn't he?
Yeah.
Forgot about that. But he had great memes though. I'm trying to find a bit of positivity in what James is saying right now. Is that I need to take like a wee shortcut. Just go, let's talk about him for a
So,
second.
yeah, let's just talk about Trap for a bit. I don't know anything other than.
Oh, I just like that meme.
Yeah.
I like that meme where he's just like, "You call me not fast. You're not fast as me," and he just runs in the hallway. That's it. But anyway, that's our only little moment of happiness. James, please take us back to this dark world.
So, Chris Benoit's blood work, they found hydromorphone, also known as dihydromorphinone, a derivative of morphine. This is an opioid used to treat moderate to severe pain. Long-term use is typically only recommended for pain due to cancer. This is a fairly strong painkiller that has a potency 4 to 6 times higher than morphine.
Fucking hell.
They found hydrocodone, a derivative of codeine. This is an addictive opiate painkiller that has a fairly close relation to heroin.
And purple drink.
Side effects of hydrocodone can also include anxiety and changes in mood. This expresses itself in most of the same traits as Xanax, such as memory problems, depression, aggression, erratic and abnormal behaviour.
Imagine all of these on top of dementia.
I know, it's fucking what a cocktail.
It is also believed to have contributed to a number of suicides by American football players. So, Benoit was also found to have an elevated level of testosterone caused by a synthetic form of the hormone in the system. Chief medical examiner attributed this to Benoit possibly being treated for deficiency caused by previous steroid abuse or another form of testicular insufficiency. This involves the idea of running testosterone replacement therapy or TRT.
TRT, yeah.
So, interestingly, the report concluded that there was no direct indication that any substances in Benoit's body contributed to his violent behaviour that led to the murder-suicide, concluding there was no roid rage involved.
Is that the medical term?
Yes. No roid rage is involved.
I do have it here. Roid rage.
Oh, so when you do that, it's an audio format, James.
I understand that.
So quotations.
I didn't realise it'd be picked up for it. So sorry, boys. So just finishing off, since Benoit's suicide, numerous explanations for his action have been proposed, including chronic traumatic encephalopathy, steroid abuse, and psychological issues due to a failing marriage and the loss of his friend Eddie Guerrero.
Yes. Yeah.
In general, just the lifestyle he was living, whether, directly, in a medical report, okay, this didn't directly lead to a roid rage or whatever, but just that lifestyle is going to break you at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's maybe not
I think
deliberately
I think a lot of it is Eddie Guerrero as well. Was it's like known in the business that they were essentially just brothers.
Yeah.
And Guerrero was, I think, I can only imagine keeping him on track.
Yeah.
When there's a video that came out when Eddie had died. They had all the performers come out on stage of like whether it be a Raw or a SmackDown just to basically give him a send off just in a day, just like a moment of silence.
Yeah.
And everyone there is upset. And then you've got Chris Benoit at the front, who's known basically being as the hardest man there is, and he was just in hysterics,
bubbling away.
He was in hysterics, and it's when you kind of like look at these things, you go, "Fuck, okay." Like he's lost his best friend, probably the person who was keeping him on the path.
Yeah.
And then he just went wild.
Yeah.
In regards to his wife, I don't really know much about Nancy Benoit.
So we'll touch on it later, but apparently there was a bit of obviously ups and downs with the marriage.
I do know her wrestling name.
Well, she was a wrestler as well.
Well, not a wrestler.
Did this get covered earlier?
No. Well, it was mentioned she wasn't a wrestler.
She was more of a performer. She was like
a manager.
Yeah. Okay.
But do any of you know what her name was?
The woman.
Yeah, it was woman.
There's definitely no misogyny in wrestling. Not at all.
Women.
Just to get dragged about the ring.
Yeah, women.
With a chain.
Women.
That was...
that's nice. Oh. So, is that us for this episode?
So, yeah, we've just got the rabbit hole to come next episode.
Yeah, I know. This is...
I mean, after all that, I'm sort of excited.
Closed all options off.
Yeah.
We have a long way to go.
We went from kind of like some nice highs of banter in the first part to like, oh fuck, I didn't know that. There's some of that actually creeped me out. The idea of like throwing down the Bible for each of them as well.
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty fucked up. Like, was he known to be like religious as well?
Not that I know.
He was previously, but we'll touch on. I think he lost a bit of faith in religion after close friends and everything that was happening to him. But we'll touch on that.
He belonged in a business where the business has changed quite a lot for the performers. There's not so much a focus now of being absolute monsters. It's a lot of it is normal looking people who are in good shape.
Right, yeah.
But at that time, it's kind of interesting. You can look at wrestlers now and you know they're going to be alive in their 60s.
Yeah.
But there's wrestlers from that time who are just dead. They don't exist.
I've got a list.
And
of course you do.
Yeah.
Morbid.
It's really interesting because they did like a comparison. I can't remember what it was. It was for like a WrestleMania in like it was like in the late 80s.
It was like, who's still alive?
Yeah, and what they did is because they all talked about, they kept saying like during the steroid scandal and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, we're a lot safer than NFL. So they had this WrestleMania on.
Half of them
so it's
put
like
their clogs on in the ring.
It was more than that. so the thing is, they had this WrestleMania in like 1988, and then they compared it to a Super Bowl in 1990, and they were like, right, who's alive? So you had out of like 50 performers in this WrestleMania, I think maybe 20 were still alive.
When was it they did this? Sorry,
this was like in like 2008. So it's like 18 18 years later.
Jesus, that's not even a long period of time.
And so like fucking more than half were dead. And then it came to like, what about the Super Bowl? Like, yeah, they're all alive.
Good effort there.
Yeah, it's he was a part of a business, but he was a small body, and he obviously had like a lot of confidence issues. So he juiced himself to
the max
prime, and he had rather than you can't have the big body, I can just throw you and look strong. I'm going to have to get very technical and do things that look vicious, which to harm to himself, detriment to himself, like a diving fucking headbutt.
Wow. So, well, that is the life and crime of Chris Benoit.
Possible crime, we might.
Of course, this is a conspiracy theory podcast, so well, I guess we'll get into it in episode 2. So, signing off there, yeah. Thank you.
Hope you feel happy.
I, for one, I'm going to go and cry. Right, goodbye, everybody.
Boris Johnson describing women who wear burqas as looking like letterboxes and bank robbers.
We'll begin immediate construction of a border wall.
Jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
Thanks for coming. Welcome to the White House.